educational concept that is being outgrown quickly is the belief in learning preferences as effective instruction methods. More and more educators are seeing learning styles as a myth, very similar to our childhood friend. In fact, there was a study done by two women, Polly Hussman and Valeria O'Loughlin from Indiana University, which involved college students studying anatomy. Over 400 students took the VARK, the Visual, Auditory, Reading, Writing, and Kinesthetic Learning Styles Evaluation. They had these students explain details about the techniques they used for mastering materials outside of class, such as flashcards, review of lecture notes, and any anatomy coloring books. Their study had found that out of the 400 students they had tested, nearly 70%, that is about 280 of the students, failed to employ study techniques that supported their specific learning style preferences. For example, a student who identified as a visual learner did not use the visual strategies, like graphs or diagrams. So what does all of this mean, and how does this help educators? Hussman and O'Loughlin's study was able to prove that sticking to only one method of learning or one type of learning style is not effective, but rather students who spaced out their learning sessions over time, experienced the material in multiple modalities, tested themselves on the material as part of their study practices, and elaborated on material to make meaningful connections, were overall more successful. One study does not provide enough evidence. However, the Scientific American released an article saying that more and more studies are showing that students are self-regulating their learning. Essentially, they are becoming independent learners, and most of the learning is happening outside of the classroom. So does this mean that Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences and learning preferences is false? No, because a theory is simply an explanation of an observed natural phenomenon. The research seems to show that the flow of effective teaching is leading towards empowering students to be in charge of their own learning. That is one reason that flipped classrooms are becoming popular. Two veteran chemistry teachers from Woodland Park High School realized that the absent students appreciated being able to catch up on what they had missed in class. However, the students who had been present during the lesson took advantage of the videos as well. Students were beginning to review lessons at home during their own time, which is how a flipped classroom works. The lesson content is placed online, and students come to class to work through problems, advance concepts, and engage in collaborative learning. Interestingly enough, a research study analyzed 10 specific learning techniques that could be used by students independently. They chose the techniques based upon whether or not the individuals could carry them out by themselves and what techniques students reported using frequently. The techniques they had settled on were elaborative interrogation, self-explanation, summarization, highlighting and underlining, keyword mnemonic, imagery for text, rereading, practice testing, distributed practice, and interleaved practice. Elaborative learning is when a student might create an explanation for the content. For example, a student might try to explain that atoms are made of a combination of 3 subatomic particles, the proton and neutrons in the nucleus, and the electrons around the nucleus. Self-explanation would occur when a student would explain to themselves how the new content is related to prior knowledge. For example, a student could explain that they understand how elements bond with other elements based upon the number of electrons in the electron cloud. This refers back to an atom structure. Summarization is what a student might do to help themselves remember important information from specific chapters. He or she might write a paragraph or two to explain key details or important facts. Underlining and highlighting is something a student can do while reading the text. They might highlight keywords and definitions while underlining important people or places. Creating a keyword mnemonic is defined as using keywords and mental imagery to associate verbal materials. An easy example that many students and adults use to this day is never eat sour watermelon in order to remember north, east, south, and west. A few self-explanatory techniques included imagery for text to create a mental picture, rereading the text multiple times, and practice tests. In the study created by Dunlunsky and his fellow researchers, they were able to determine through a variety of examinations and analysis which of the 10 techniques were low, moderate, and high based on utility. These results show that students need a wide range of modalities to learn content, and that they will learn more efficiently if the teacher uses a variety of techniques rather than a few.